My friend and I decided to celebrate Christmas in Hawaii this year. Our flight was at 8 a.m., so we had to get to the airport by 5 a.m. We were worried that there was going to be customs, but everything went really smoothly and there wasn't much people at the airport. After passing the security and finding our gate, we went to do the most important thing, looking for food. At first, we were lining up for Tim Hortons, but we found that their grill was broken, so then we went to eat pad thai instead for breakfast. The pad thai was alright for airport food. My friend and I did our nails, and I ended up matching with the plants at the airport. Luckily, we didn't have any delays for our flight, and we were able to board smoothly. After a 5-hour flight, we finally landed in Honolulu. This was my first time in Hawaii, and I was really shocked about the open air concept that they had. We had a shuttle bus waiting for us, but it was such a struggle trying to find the shuttle bus. It took us around 10-15 minutes just to try and find out where the bus was. There wasn't a lot of people at the airport, but luckily we were able to find a shuttle bus employee that guided us where we were supposed to be. The bus driver also gave us each a flower lei. It's really pretty, and it also smelled really nice as well. The hotel we booked was Waikiki Mauia by Outrigger. It is a pretty nice hotel, and it was in a nice location as well. The hotel is located at the edge of Waikiki, so we had to walk a bit to get to the center of Waikiki. But overall, it was a really nice day. Our room consisted of 2 twin beds and also a queen bed. We also got a kitchen to go with it and a fridge as well. There was 2 bad things with the room, however, because every time they were replenishing our towels, they would only give us 3, and we would always have to go down and ask for more. Also, the air conditioner was pretty bad in the room. It always smelled like stale air, and we had to keep the windows open. After dropping all our stuff in the hotel, it was already 3 p.m., so then we walked around Waikiki to find some food to eat. More specifically, we were looking for an udon place called Marugame Udon. It was recommended to us from a friend, and we were so shocked that there was still a long line at 3 p.m. I really liked the style of the restaurant where we walked in, we ordered the food, we got the food paid, and then we sat down. And as we were waiting for our food, we were able to see how the udon was made by the chefs. My friends got cold udon while I got a curry udon. I also picked up some chicken katsu as well, because their katsus looked so good. After eating, we went across the street to the International Marketplace to walk off the food. I really liked the concept of this mall, and it reminded me of the outlets here in Vancouver as well. I've probably been in this mall around like 8 or 9 times because we had to walk through this mall to reach the beachside area of the Waikiki. There was a really cool VR place in the mall as well, but we thought it was too pricey to try. I love walking through this mall because there were so many gardens that we could walk through. Everything was lit up with Christmas lights, so it was really pretty. I really like this section of the mall with the mangrove trees, really pretty. I really like walking down this section of Waikiki with all the palm trees and the blue sky, and the sidewalks were really nice as well. One thing that we found pretty weird in Hawaii was listening to Christmas music like Let It Snow in 28 degrees weather. Throughout the trip, it was really windy, and I had to tie my hair every single day. As we were walking, I was still pretty shocked that everything was out in the open with no windows or walls, but I guess the weather is nice all year round in Hawaii, so they don't really need any heat or air conditioning. When we got back to the hotel from buying our groceries, we were able to see the tail end of a fireworks show down at the beach. We heard loud banging in our room, so we walked out and saw the fireworks. I was pretty shocked we were able to see it from our hotel. One of our friends arrived a bit later than us, so we went to the ABC store to buy some spam musubi for him. We also stocked up the fridge with water and chocolate milk. My friend brought her laptop with her, so we were able to hook it up to the big screen and watch shows and movies at night. It was pretty nice. The first thing we did the next day was head to the Spam Musubi Cafe to buy some musubi. This was the first time that I tried eel musubi, and it was one of the best things I've ever had. Normally, I don't really like eel, but this eel was so soft and it melts in your mouth. So good. I probably ate it 10 times on this trip. Afterwards, we took an Uber to head to the Tamashiro market for some fresh poke. This marketplace was around 10 to 15 minute drive away from Waikiki, So it's nice to see the change of view and also see how the houses look like in Hawaii. The marketplace was smaller than I imagined, and it also had a really fishy smell, so we put on our face masks to help block the smell. We headed straight to the back of the marketplace where all the fresh poke were. The four of us ordered 3 different types so we could try every one of them. The tuna is a different color than I'm used to, probably because it's fresh, and the ones in Vancouver are frozen. They also sold tuna by the whole block and a lot of other seafoods as well. We saw some people buy crab, some people buy other types of fish. It was a really interesting market to walk through. The texture of the tuna shocked me because normally I don't like to eat tuna, but this tuna was really good. However, the tuna was too salty for me, so I couldn't eat a lot of it. The next stop of our trip was Chinatown, so we were walking on the street eating poke, heading towards it. I didn't know what I was expecting, but the Chinatown was really run down and there was a lot of homeless people, same as Vancouver. We didn't end up ordering any food from Chinatown because it looked pretty sketchy, so we just took a walk through and left. We also saw some lady peeing on the street as well. Afterwards, we headed to Costco to pick up some macadamia nuts and some water. After a quick stop at the hotel, we stopped by the beach for a sunset swim. The water was really cold if you couldn't tell. Oh my god! The sunset view was so nice from the beach. Everything was so calm and pretty. I also had a blast trying to get some pretty sunset photos. By the time we left, the sun has already set and it was pretty dark. The night view of the city was also really pretty, with all the Christmas lights. All the beaches in Hawaii were really nice because they all had showers where we could wash off the sand. After our swim, we went back to the Musubi Cafe to get more eel musubi. I think for this one we waited around 15 minutes in line just to get it. As we were eating our musubi, we just strolled around by Kiki. The weather at night was actually really nice. It wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. Maybe it was around 20 degrees. We walked past the Haagen-Dazs store, so of course we had to go in and get some ice cream as well. We got the peppermint bark, which was their seasonal flavor, and it's actually really good. It's minty but not too minty, with some chocolate bits inside. They had a lot of different flavors, and I think we ended up trying 5 or 6 of them throughout our stay. For this one, we also got dulce de leche, which was kind of caramel flavor, but it wasn't too sweet, which was really nice as well. As we were walking, we stumbled upon this super fancy candy store. It had all types of candy and a lot of variety of different flavors and from around the world as well. However, the price was also really expensive. Unsurprisingly, there were a lot of people on the streets at night. And there were a lot of street shows as well. We also found a store that sold really trippy wind chimes. It's kind of mesmerizing to watch. Day 3 of our trip, Honolulu Zoo. The zoo was around a 40-minute walk from our hotel, so we just ended up walking alongside the beach. We didn't know what to expect from the zoo, but it was quite disappointing. There wasn't a lot of animals in the zoo, and also the animal exhibitions were quite small, so we felt quite sad for the animals. We also saw some hyenas, some rhinos, some really cute napping fennec foxes, giraffes and zebras, flamingos, elephants, and monkeys. I really liked the monkey exhibit because the monkeys were just swinging around and playing with each other. After we finished walking around the zoo, we were really tired and exhausted. It was around 2 p.m, so we went to find some lunch. We ended up eating at a cheeseburger place that looked like a diner. I got a mushroom burger, and we also tried the Hawaiian dish Loco Moco. And right by the zoo, there was also a marathon happening. and I think it was 42-kilometer run, and people were at the 9-hour mark. I wish I could run as far as them. Afterwards, we went back to the udon place, and this time the line was even longer. I think we waited around 30 to 40 minutes. Inside the international marketplace, there was also a Japanese market, and there was a lot of gacha machines there. There also was an anime pop-up store in there as well. On day 4, we booked a Circle Island tour to explore outside of Waikiki. We met outside Ross Dress for Less at 7:30 a.m. Trying to figure out which shuttle bus to get on was such a struggle, and we were all so confused. It was pretty hectic, and then we figured out that we had to listen to our name being called. The tour also gave us some snorkel gear and flippers, and after successfully getting onto the shuttle bus, our day begins. First, the driver drove us through the rich side of the island. We passed by a lot of houses that were owned by celebrities like Obama and also Bill Gates. For the first stop, the driver pulled onto the side of the road and we got off to take some pictures. We also passed by a lot of mountains. The driver was really great at telling stories and explaining the island to us, and I really liked his humor. Our second stop was a blowhole. The driver told us there was lava under the rock, so when the waves crashed into it, the water would steam up and shoot into the air. During the summer season, the steam would go up to 10 feet. However, in December, we were still able to see a little bit of steam. The view by the blowhole was absolutely breathtaking. Throughout the tour, the rain was on and off and on and off. We were really lucky that for each stop, it didn't rain at all. The driver made a pit stop at a gas station, and there was a guy selling food on the streets. He sold some plum seasoned pineapple. However, after trying it, I still like the normal pineapple taste. We also got a dish called pani popo. It's a local Hawaiian dish where they cover the sweet buns with a layer of coconut sauce. After the quick pit stop, the driver took us to a macadamia nut farm. Inside, they had a lot of different flavors for macadamia nuts, and we could taste each flavor before deciding which one to buy. The caramel flavor and the Maui onion flavor were my favorites. My friend and I each ended up buying one. At the back of the farm, there was also an area where we could crack our own macadamia nuts. The nuts were harder to crack than I thought, but we were still able to crack a few and feed the nuts to the chickens. After the farm, the driver drove past this area where he said a bunch of movies like Jurassic Park was filmed. It was really cool to see. We ate lunch at a place called Fumi Shrimp, and the spicy garlic shrimp was really good. After lunch, we headed down to the beach to go snorkeling. This area was at North Shore, so the waves were quite big and the water was really murky. There was also some sharp rocks on the floor, so we ended up wearing our slippers into the water, and it took a while for us to get used to it. For the underwater footage, I used a waterproof cell phone bag to film, and the quality actually turned out pretty nice. For my snorkel mask, I bought a half mask on Amazon, and I could actually breathe in and out through my nose, which was really nice. It's such a struggle trying to float in the water and take a selfie. The water was really salty. After a nice swim, we went to the Pineapple Dole Plantation to get some pineapple Dole Whip. This was one of the best Dole Whips I've had. We also walked around inside the gift shop as well, but we didn't buy anything. There was also a train outside that we could take to go into the pineapple fields. However, we didn't have enough time for that on our tour. One of my friends used the machine to press a penny for a souvenir, and it turned out pretty well. There were also some rainbow eucalyptus trees outside, and it was one of my first times seeing it in real life other than Minecraft. Afterwards, we headed to a coffee farm where there was so many different flavors of coffee. I'm not a big coffee drinker, so after tasting some of the flavors, all I could taste was bitterness. There were also some trees outside too, where we could see the coffee beans before they were made into coffee. Our tour bus license plates was TVS 499, and it was really easy to remember because the driver told us TVs for $4.99. So we were able to always get onto the right bus. On the 5th day, we booked a catamaran ride. We arrived at the pier at around 11 a.m. This was also part of our Go City Pass, so it was quite a good deal. After checking in and getting our wristbands, we waited around 30 minutes before we were able to get onto the boat. This is my first time on a catamaran, and I was both excited and worried that I would get seasick. It was also super sunny, so I was worried that I would get tanned. After getting some safety guidelines on where the life jacket and lifeboat is, we started our trip. I love the netted design where we could look into the water under our feet. As we started to head out, it suddenly started pouring rain. But luckily, as we headed out towards the ocean, the rain stopped and the sun came back out. It was really windy, so we had to hold on to our hats. My sunglasses tint the world purple and gray, so for a big half of the ride, I didn't realize the color was so nice. After taking my sunglasses off, I realized the water was really blue and the sky was also really blue. Around 20 minutes into the ride, we spotted some dolphins from afar and we all got so excited. My goal on this trip was to see some dolphins in real life, and my dream came true. I was already really happy seeing them from afar, but they came closer and closer to our boat. Dolphins are one of my favorite animals, so I was really ecstatic about seeing them. It was really windy on the ride, and there was a lot of big waves. Some of the water even splashed up onto us from the bottom. As our boat ride came to an end and we were heading back to shore, the dolphins came to us again. This time we were really lucky because they swam right under our feet on our side of the boat, so we got some really nice footage. There was probably 9 or 10 dolphins just chilling with us for a bit. It was such an amazing experience.
This is closer than I got 12 years ago.
Oh my god, you're so cute!
Will you drink sharky?
Watching the dolphins swim up close was definitely one of the highlights of my trip. After the boat ride, we went to Highway Inn to eat some authentic Hawaiian food. My friend and I discovered this restaurant from a Netflix show. So after seeing it on TV, we had to try it for ourselves.
So you're gonna eat everything on this side with the poi.
Okay.
You're gonna just dip everything into there. This is the root of the kalo plant. This is our baby's first food.
I was really excited to try the purple taro paste. I thought it would be sweet, however, it was very sour and it was quite a disappointment. After trying the Hawaiian food, we walked down an alley to go eat some hot dogs. We also saw this restaurant on a Netflix show as well. They had some really weird flavors like Alaskan reindeer and wild boar. We didn't end up trying those because we didn't want to get a stomachache. Instead, we got the tropical hot dog, which was just pineapples on top of a hot dog. Cheers! My friend also got a creme brulee and it's actually really good.
Oh, I heard that. Ooh.
After eating, we headed back down to the beach. After swimming for a bit, I got extreme vertigo and I can still feel it 2 weeks after. On the 6th day, we took a shuttle bus from our hotel to the Diamond Head crater for a hike. This is one of the more popular hikes in Honolulu. The hike itself is an easy hike and it's only supposed to take around 60 minutes. It starts off on a flat trail that slowly starts to get more and more inclined. To reach the top, we also had to go through some inclined tunnels, and this was pretty cool, although the ceiling was a bit low. The view on the top was breathtaking. For the hike, there was also an option to just take a flight of stairs up to the top. However, we took the easier route. We got really lucky because right after we finished the hike, it started pouring rain, and we were able to just duck under the shelter to avoid it. There was also a lot of small birds in the shelter as well, hiding from the rain, and we fed it some of our snacks. After the hike, we went back to the hotel to clean up and freshen up before we headed back out to eat. Our Ghost City Pass came with bike rental, so we went to check it out. However, The registration process was kind of invasive where we had to give a lot of details, so we ended up walking to Rainbow Drive-In. This was another restaurant that we discovered through the Netflix show, and it also specializes in Hawaiian food. We ordered the Loco Moco from here, and it was pretty good. Afterwards, we went back to the beach to enjoy the sunset again. I love the golden glow of the sunset light, so pretty. The hotel we walked through also had some small curling stations to play with. For dinner, we went to the Seoul Tofu House to get some warm soup into our bodies. I got a cheese chicken with tofu soup, and the soup was actually really spicy. Overall, I really enjoyed this meal. Today was also the day that we were going to get our rental car. We booked this car off Turo.com, and we got a really big surprise when we opened the doors because there was a lot of cockroaches in it. I was so traumatized. I canceled the booking the night of. So the next day, we Ubered to the airport to pick up a rental car. We ended up renting a white Nissan Altima 2020. The car was pretty good. It was pretty spacious inside. After finally getting our car, it was already around 11, so we had to hurry to our next location, which was the Pearl Harbor Museums. The first one we went to was the Submarine Museum. For this one, we were able to go into the submarine to look around. As we were walking through the submarine, I was still experiencing vertigo, so I was like crashing into the walls and really wobbly. This is the second time I've been inside a submarine for a museum, and this one was a lot better than my first experience. The first submarine I went into had a lot of mannequins everywhere, mimicking what it was like to live in the submarine. However, as a kid, I was really scared of mannequins, so I ended up crying for the whole submarine tour. Inside the museum, they also had the flags of some of the submarines, where every time they shot down a ship, they would sew another flag into it. It was both cool to look at and very ominous. The next one we went to look at was the Battleship Missouri. In front of the battleship has a famous pose that we saw from newspapers back then. The battleship itself is really big. I went on some battleships as a Sea Cadet before, so I wasn't really too enthusiastic about walking through one again. Although the battleship was very big, the places we could go as a tourist was actually very limited. Overall, I still enjoyed it. It was pretty cool to walk through. Next, we went to the Aviation Museum. I don't know a lot about planes, so they all looked the same to me. After the museum, we headed to our final stop for the day, the Luau Party. The luau we booked came from the Go City Pass, and it was located inside Sea Life Park. As we walked through the park to the party, we also saw some sea turtles. The venue for the party was really pretty, right by the ocean. There was a lot more people than I expected. And before the luau began, we got to do some small activities like making our own flower bracelets. Unfortunately, the thread was really thin, so the flowers ended up falling off after the party. There were also some dance lessons as well. And one of the employees climbed up the coconut tree to show us how it was done. We also got some temporary tattoos at the tattoo station. As we headed to our seats, there was a gecko on our chair. This was my first time seeing a gecko. So hyped for the party. The luau party also included a dinner buffet. The food was decent. A roasted pig was also brought around to each table for pictures.
Of the South Pacific.
As we were still eating our food, the luau began with some shows. People could go up to the stage and learn to dance as well. The luau gave us 2 drink tickets each, so I got a Muay Thai to try. At the start of the show, they showed us how they used to light fires with coconuts. There was also a fire dance. What I liked about this luau was that they showed us the different dances in the different Polynesian cultures. In particular, I really liked the slapping dance. By the end of the dance, the skin of the dancers were all red.
A siva, fa'atau pati, created by the men in the village of Samoa to maintain endurance, power, and agility.
The most spectacular part about the show was their fire dancing. It was so mesmerizing to watch.
Let them know if you enjoy their performance. They know how.
I really liked the luau and was glad that we decided to go. On day 7, we drove the rental car to North Shore, which is on the north side of the island. There, we signed up for some paddle boarding. We paddle boarded alongside the river banks for around 2 hours. Along the way, there was even a tree swing. As we were paddle boarding, there was a lot of sea turtles in the river. I probably saw around 15. Afterwards, we headed to the Polynesian Cultural Center. Right as we got in, we took a boat to the north side of the center. We arrived pretty late at around 3:30, so there wasn't as much people at the center. At the north side of the center, there was an area to bamboo fish. We spent 50 cents to get some fish bait. Although the fish was eating the bait, we didn't actually catch any. I really liked the Polynesian Cultural Center because they separated the different areas into the different cultures. I was also able to learn a lot about the Polynesian culture. There was activities such as bread making, where they showed us how they used to bake their bread. We also got some more temporary tattoos. We also took part in some mini games where we had to shoot coconuts with a spear. We were also able to explore some of the huts. It looks very plain on the outside, but on the inside it's quite spacious. I really like the entrance to Fiji. It's very aesthetic looking with the blue sky and the green trees. We stayed there and watched the Fiji show. Some more temporary tattoos. And huts. We also played some Hawaiian mini games, like catching the ball with the stick and also making all the chestnuts spin at the same time. This one was really hard and we didn't end up succeeding. They also played a game that was similar to the Chinese checkers. I lost really fast to my boyfriend. We did some hula dancing. And also watched some hula dancing as well.
Their backs are straight, they sway, they take 2 steps to the right, and then 2 steps to the left.
We left at 5:30 p.m. and tried to rush back to Waikiki to avoid the traffic. The hotel parking is a nightmare. The ramps were really steep and tight and we ended up scratching our rental car. On the last day with the car, we went to Hanama Bay. Before we could snorkel, we had to sit through a 10-minute instructional guide on how to snorkel and what to avoid stepping on. Afterwards, we took a tram down to the beach. Our booking was at 12:30, so there wasn't as much people on the beach, which was super nice. It was such a nice day, and the color of the water was so pretty. It's so cold! The water was pretty cold even though there was a lot of sun, but that didn't matter as soon as we saw the fish. The fishes weren't scared of people, so we were able to get really close to them. There wasn't much space between us and the coral, so we had to be super careful not to scratch ourselves. The snorkel mask that I bought could attach a GoPro on it, however I think we angled it too high, so there wasn't much good footage. Luckily, the quality on my phone camera turned out pretty nice inside the water phone bag. There was so many fishes in the water. We also took a water fanny pack with us to put all our wallets and car keys inside, since we read a blog about theft in Hawaii. I love how the sun's ray danced through the water. Taking a selfie was so hard. Of course, we also had to bury someone in the sand as well. Maybe it was the sunscreen, but the sand didn't come off very well. After taking a break, we went back into the ocean to snorkel some more. I think we probably snorkeled for around 3 to 4 hours. There were so many different varieties of fishes, and they were all so colorful. Swimming in Hanaba Bay was such a great experience. Near the end, we saw a school of mackerel-like fish. It was such a cool experience swimming in a school of fish. We left around 3 p.m. when the beach closed. For our last night in Hawaii, we went to the Paia Fish Market to eat some blackened sashimi. And on the last day, we had some poke. Our flight back to Vancouver was delayed by 3 hours due to a snowstorm. We also flew through a thunderstorm in Hawaii as well. We got really lucky with our flight. There was a big snowstorm in Vancouver on the night we landed, and 200 flights got cancelled the day after. I was so glad we were able to get back to Vancouver safely. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe.